D2DNY, Real World HVAC Simplified. And now, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to wire up and how to troubleshoot a single-phase compressor. Okay, so here you have your compressor, here you have your run capacitor, and here you have your compressor contactor, and this here is your power supply. So your power goes in through your contactor. It's a two-pole contactor. One goes to the run winding, other line goes through your contactor, the other one goes to your common terminal. Actually, so one goes to your run terminal, and the other line goes to your common terminal. Doesn't matter, it could be line one down here or line one up there. Doesn't matter the orientation of the lines because it's AC power, so it doesn't matter. But one line goes to your run, and the other line goes to your common. Now for your start, the start goes to your capacitor, the one side of your capacitor, and then the other side of your capacitor is spliced with the same line that goes to the run, as you can see right here. So once again, these two will be your power. Run, R and C will be your power. One line, another line, and then your start or your S will always be in series with your capacitor. One wire goes on one side of the capacitor, the other one goes on the other side of the capacitor, and then you're spliced. Always have to splice the start. That's very important. The start or the S terminal has to be spliced always with the line that's sharing with the run or the R. The run and the S share the same line of power always. This wire cannot go down here, otherwise it will not work. It has to go up here. Okay, very important. If this wire is put down here, this compressor will not run, or probably won't start. All right, so it has to be spliced the way it's here in this diagram. All right, and then here's the legend. R for run, S equals start terminal, R run terminal, S start terminal, C common terminal, RC, that's a run capacitor, and CC, that's a compressor contactor. Okay, so that's your run capacitor, that's RC, and CC, compressor contactor, and obviously that's your compressor, that's the acronym, and it's the line one and the line two, that's your power. Any questions on this? Just leave the questions in the comment section. I'll answer them for you. All right, now let's talk about troubleshooting this bad boy. Okay, so here we go now. Troubleshooting this run compressor. Troubleshooting the single-phase compressor or motor winding. So we have resistance in home reading, right? So that's how you troubleshoot these compressor windings. So between the run and the start terminal, our R and S terminal, that's going to be your highest resistance value. So you see I draw, you see your S, this is your R, and this is your C, R, S, and C, and then I draw that winding inside, a little winding right here to indicate how it's terminated inside, another winding right here, okay, like that, that's a winding to indicate how it's terminated inside. So so between R and S, that's going to be right here, which I call that O, and that's R plus S, O, that's your highest resistance value. And then between R and C, I call that A, that side A, that's going to be your lowest resistance value. And between S and C, I call it B, and that's going to be your medium resistance value. Okay, so once again, the A, and these letters right here that I'm using here is not really arbitrary to a single phase compressor or motor. I just use these letters right here, just for instructional purposes. So again, A, this is this side, this is this winding right here. That's your run winding, and that's the lowest resistance. So the run winding is the lowest resistance. So between R and C, you'll get your lowest resistance. Okay, as you can see right there, I indicated run, and then between C and S are across your start winding. That's going to be the medium resistance. So the start winding has a higher resistance than the run winding. The run winding, the run winding has the lowest resistance. Start winding has the highest resistance. After two windings, start winding has the highest resistance of the two windings. And then if you go across R and S, you get into combined, both winding combined, because you're going this way, they are both in series, right? That's it. Okay, so for example, if you're checking with your meter and you don't know what terminal is R, what terminal is S, and what terminal is C, if you check between here and here, so once again, let me start over. Lost my train of thought right there. Highest resistance, lowest resistance, medium. We call this medium resistance out of the three. The medium resistance. Okay, so here we go now. Suppose we don't know what terminal is R, what terminal is C, and what terminal is S. Well, we have some numbers here, some resistance reading values here, right? So we measure 5 ohms. This is ohms. We measure 5 ohms between R between this terminal and the A side, because we don't know what it is yet, right? So we measure between this terminal and this terminal right here, which is, we call it the A side. We measure 5 ohms, right? Then we measure again between this terminal and this terminal, we call it B side, and we measure 10 ohms. So we measure 10 ohms, okay? So right away, we are on track, right? So write them down. Then we measure between this terminal and this terminal, and we call it the O side, right here, or the O, and we got 15 ohms. So based on these readings, you can simply tell which is which, okay? So for example, out of the 3 readings, ohm value, the lowest one, that's going to be your run windings, the medium one is going to be your start winding, and the highest one is going to be between run and start. So if you know that the highest one is between run and start, which is going to be O, which is what I label it as, it's going to be run and start. 15 is going to be right here. We know that over here has to be C, because R, S, and the other one has to be C. So 15 right here. Then we take the 5, and we say, okay, if 5 was over here, so we know that right here, this is going to be run. Now, if this is run, obviously the third terminal will be straightforward. That's going to be start, okay? So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you can see these right here. These are your readings. If you measure between all 3 terminals, and you write down your resistance value, you got 5, 10, and 15. Simple. The lowest going to be your run. The medium is going to be your start, and then the highest going to be between start and run. All right. So let's talk about how these compressor fails. So in the meantime, there is a little exercise right here. You know, I just put here. I mean, I just explained this earlier, but nonetheless, let's talk about how these compressors fail. So is a mechanical failure, or it's going to be an electrical failure. If it's an electrical failure, it's pretty simple. So for electrical failure, you're going to ohm out your three terminals, you know, across all 3 terminals. And if you're not getting any continuity or any resistance reading across any of the terminals, then a compressor is no good. Just note that if you are only reading resistance between start and run, and nothing between C, sometimes it's an internal thermal overload. That's the issue, right? So you might want to have the compressor cool down. The compressor may be hot. So if it's hot, let it cool down, and then you ohm it out again. So again, you're going to check in for resistance across all 3 windings. And if any one is missing, the compressor winding is opened. So again, go across all 3. And one of these is open, that means a faulty compressor unless the compressor body is hot. Let it cool down, because you might get a false positive reading because the compressor is hot. Okay, and then the next possibility with this is that it may be grounded. You want to check from each terminal, or from each terminal to ground. Any one of these to ground rings out. If one rings out, all is going to ring out to ground. So if it continue to ground, the compressor is no good. That's bad. So that's electrical failure. Now the mechanical failure is mechanically it's seized. It doesn't move, right? It's locked up. It's going to draw high amps. It's going to hum, right? Mechanical failure. So just to recap, so long as you're getting power to your common and your run terminal, you have your single phase power going there, and obviously your run capacitor is good, then you check your windings, and the compressor doesn't start, it hums. That means the compressor is faulty. Now the compressor will hum if the run cap is no good, because obviously that's the reason why the start winding is there. The start winding, even though it's called a run cap, contrarily, it's used to start the compressor, and obviously it helps along to run the compressor as well, because it's still connected once it's started, but its primary function is to get the compressor started. Let me bring the other slide back. So in closing, so long as there's power between run and common, or R and C, and your capacitor is good, is tested good, the compressor is humming, or it doesn't want to start, or is hot, the compressor is faulty. Sometimes, however, there's an internal overload, terminal overload, that breaks this wire here internally. So then when you are checking for resistance, you go from C to S, you get nothing. From R to C, you'll get nothing. But from R and S, or S and R, you'll get something. If the compressor is hot, let it cool down. I think that's it. I think that covers it all. If you got questions about this, just leave it in the comment section, all right? That's how you do that. Pretty straightforward, guys.